Have you ever become so reliant on a product that you can't do certain tasks without that product? I definitely have, and by not having this particular product, it almost cost me my life. I'm gonna tell you the story about how that happened and how maybe you shouldn't do the things that I did, and hopefully you can better prepare so you never find yourself in that type of situation. So this story starts 3 days before I was about to compete in the ITU World Triathlon Grand Final to represent Team Canada. It gets dramatic. For those of you that don't know, this is a wetsuit. Wetsuits give a very big advantage to poor swimmers such as myself that need a little bit of help in the water. Now, some professional swimmers, they don't want it at all. They'd rather not swim with wetsuits. Me personally, it gives a little bit more buoyancy and it acted as some sort of level of security when I was out there in the open water. But the thing is with triathlon and wetsuits is you can't always use them. Once the water temperature goes above 23 degrees Celsius or whatever it is in Fahrenheit right here on your screen, it's illegal to use a wetsuit in a triathlon. Now, why is that? I don't know, probably some overheating issues and all that stuff. I don't really know. I don't understand the rules. So as part of these events, you have to go through a bunch of different things. You have to do like the Parade of Nations and all these different team events and all that good stuff, which was a whole lot of fun. But there was one thing on my mind and a sinking feeling in my stomach. We were in the middle of a heat wave in Lausanne, Switzerland, and the lake that we were about to swim in, well, that water can heat up very quick. So you know what I did? I checked the water temperature as soon as we landed, and you know what it was? 20 degrees Celsius. Whew, a sigh of relief went over me. You know what? I was going to be able to use my wetsuit. You know what? I might as well go have a couple beers, have some pizza, enjoy the European lifestyle that I so enjoy. How naive I was. So that was my day one, just enjoying it. I thought I was going to be fine, whatever. Let's just go and have a good time. Day two comes around. So day number 2, I wake up again. I check the team Slack. We use like Slack for the Team Canada people. Check the team Slack. Oh, someone just said that the water temperature went up to 21.5 degrees Celsius. A 1.5 degrees Celsius jump in one day, not ideal, considering we still have 48 hours at this point and the water temperature was going to keep on rising because, like I said, we were in a heat wave. So I just went on with my day, did whatever, went to the Parade of Nations, which was a lot of fun. And then we had another team briefing, which is kind of like goes over the rules of the race and all that different type of stuff. And in this team briefing, they did mention that it's unlikely to be a wetsuit swim. People all around me, they were so upset because they wouldn't be able to swim a minute faster. I was upset because I was probably going to drown without my wetsuit, is the thought I had in my head. And you know what I did after that team briefing once I heard all these people say, oh my God, I'm not going to swim so fast. And I'm over here like life flashing before my eyes. I decided, you know what I should probably do? Something I never have done before. Get in a lake without a wetsuit on. Up to this point, all the open water swimming I have done was using a wetsuit because I was scared. I didn't want to go in that open water without a wetsuit. Who does that? Only crazy people. And I may be crazy, but I'm not that crazy. So I go get my swim gear, my nice Speedo, looking really nice. Hopefully no one looks at my legs at this point because I'd blind them, but I put on my Speedo, put on my goggles, and I jump in the lake. You know when you throw a cat in water? Well, that's pretty much how I was. Instant panic went through my body. It was terrible. So the lake we were swimming on was called Lake Lausanne or Lake Le Mans in French. And what it is, it's a lake that goes from like Switzerland to France. So, I mean, they're not very far apart in terms of country, but this was a pretty big lake. And it also spans from like Geneva all the way over to like some other part in Switzerland. It's a massive lake. So at this point, I was still a little bit optimistic that we could have a wetsuit swim because it's a large body of water. But another thing is about this lake, and it's going to be another key point, is that it's surrounded by mountains. And when you're surrounded by mountains and there's some sort of wind, that creates a lot of swell on the water because the wind's just going down the mountains and creating chaos in the water. So here I was in the lake just swimming along without a wetsuit, thinking to myself, how am I going to do this? So I just went out there for probably half an hour, 45 minutes, getting myself a little bit more comfortable in the water. And by the end of it, I wasn't confident. I thought to myself, if this isn't a wetsuit swim, I'm just not going to do it. I knew deep down in my heart that the type of person I am, that wouldn't be an option. I would have pushed myself to get in that lake. And that's how I spent the rest of the day, just mentally preparing how this swim could go. 24 hours out, wake up, check my phone, water temperature reading, 22 degrees Celsius. Sigh of relief once again, because how can a lake heat up over 1 degree Celsius in that massive amount of water? How naive I was, because this day it was 35 degrees Celsius, heat beaming down on that lake, no cloud coverage at all, just pure sun heating that lake up. But because I did have a race the next day, I did go home and kind of prepare myself, got my stuff ready, loaded stuff in the car, all that good stuff, laid it all out, and went to bed at a reasonable time. And here we are, just about 12 hours before the start of the race. I woke up about 3 hours before the race and got my normal breakfast of champions that I eat almost every single day: oatmeal, blueberries, peanut butter, maple syrup. Now that's the good stuff. Got my stuff ready and headed out to Lausanne for the big day. As I'm walking to the race start, I just get overwhelmed with emotion. I went from someone that was over 300 pounds to someone that's now about to line up and compete with the best triathletes around the world. It was absolutely incredible. On one hand, I was so proud of myself, but then on the other hand, an overwhelming feeling of dread, panic, and fear was consuming the rest of my body. Imposter syndrome kicked in. How did I get here? I'm not meant to do this. I look at the people around me, so fit, so strong, and here I am. Look at the pictures. I'm just some normal, everyday fella who kind of tricked my way into this situation, is how it felt. Imposter syndrome is a dangerous thing. As I was lost in the haze with this anxiety and dread and fear, I heard over the PA system, non-wetsuit swim. And after I heard this, those feelings of panic, dread, and fear kicked into overdrive. The water temperature was 23.1 degrees Celsius, just enough for no wetsuit. So this is the Wave Start Triathlon, so that means you're with a group of people when you start. And as I get to the group of people and look out at that beautiful lake surrounded by mountains, all I can see is the waves just crashing in. Remember that wind I told you about? Well, this was creating so much wave, so much swell in the water that I didn't think was going to be possible. But again, I put those thoughts outside of my mind and just lined up in the water and waited for the gun to go off. Every 60 seconds, the gun would go off. My mind at this point, completely full of haze, fear, panic, and I was just trying so hard to squeeze those thoughts out of my mind, because the worst thing you can do in the water is panic and have that type of mindset going into it. I'm looking around me at this seemingly perfect day, the sun beating down, the beautiful water all around me, the mountains all around me, the magic of triathlon in the air, and I can't enjoy any of it because I'm completely consumed. And here I am waiting for the gun to go off, just hoping that this would be over soon. The gun goes off and it's a massive rush as we start to swim together. And at this point, the panic is so bad. I keep on treading water. I keep on fighting the water. It's just not going to be a good situation. So in triathlon, you can hold on to the safety boats as you go on. And these safety boats are typically spaced about 100 meters apart. So my plan was every 100 meters, hang on to these safety boats and just enjoy it and get through the swim that way. And that's exactly what I did for the first 500 meters. At this point, the water was really beating me up. It was pushing me all around and I wanted to quit so many different times. So after those 500 meters, there was actually a big gap, about 300 meters between safety boats. So this is going to be the biggest challenge yet. And as I'm explaining this story, the massive amounts of panic and fear and sweaty palms, honestly, in my body is just tremendous. The waves at this point, I'm almost to the middle of the lake, so the waves are extremely intense. The swells push me all around, back and forth. And I have no control because I'm not a very strong swimmer. I'm fighting these waves and the waves are beating me every step of the way. About 150 meters into this stretch, I swallow water. And as I swallow water, I'm just completely consumed with panic. I have to stop at this point because I'm so overwhelmed with panic. I thought that this was it. I swallowed water. I thought I was about to drown right then and there. I stop swimming and I start to scream for my life. I don't see anyone around me. All I see is other swimmers just going past me like nothing is going on. And here I am screaming for my life, waiting for someone to hear me. And what seemed like full-on hours was definitely mere seconds. When you're in these types of situations, time acts completely different. All I could think about was my fiance sitting on the beach there and my mom at home in Canada. What would they be going through if this truly was how it ended? But fortunately, there was someone on a paddle boat not far away and he could hear me struggling. I don't know how he could hear me. I don't know if there was someone looking over me. I don't know exactly how this happened, but there was someone there with a paddle board, and through the wind sound, the splashing water sound, he could hear me screaming, and watching him come towards me again felt like an hour, but I'm sure it was only about 10 seconds. I grab onto that paddle board and I'm just, oh man, it was intense. So this guy, he immediately asked me, am I okay? And once I took a second to calm down and reflect, I determined that I was fine. And at this point, I was like, you know what? I'll just continue on. But the guy made the firm decision to not let me continue on. And I think that was probably the best decision I've ever been told to do. I was completely in shock. So when we got back to shore, I just acted like everything was fine. Nothing really happened. And I went to go speak to my fiance, who it took a little bit to find her, but somehow I did find her. And then we went along and just carried on with our normal day and carried on the normal vacation. But the thing is, the extent of this situation wouldn't be realized until a few months after the fact. I actually still deal with these types of panic attacks and PTSD related symptoms from this event today. It was a massive shift in my entire athletic career, and it still impacts me to this day. The biggest mistake I made here was not properly preparing for any situation. I should have gone to the lakes around my hometown and swam without a wetsuit and got used to these types of situations. By avoiding these type of environments and situations, it literally almost cost me my life. And that's what I want you to take from this. If you take anything away, it is, please, if you're doing these types of hardcore events, prepare appropriately. Think of every type of situation, learn from people on the internet. Please take their advice. Do yourself a favor. Don't put yourself in the situation like I did. It can seriously cost you your life. And that's how the ITU World Triathlon Grand Final went for me in Lausanne. Here's the story about how I got to the ITU World Triathlon Grand Final. And if you like the video, subscribe to the channel. I hope you enjoy the next one.